The Thing is a 1982 American science fiction horror film directed by John Carpenter from a screenplay by Bill Lancaster. The plot follows a group of researchers in Antarctica who encounter a shape-shifting alien that threatens their survival. Paranoia and suspense escalate as they struggle to identify who is human and who is the deadly creature. Plot: in Antarctica, a Norwegian helicopter pursues a sled dog to an American research station. The Americans witness the passenger accidentally blow up the helicopter and himself. The pilot fires a rifle and shouts at the Americans, but they cannot understand him, and he is shot dead in self-defense by Station Commander Gary, played by Donald Moffat.
Easy, easy.
The American helicopter pilot, R.J. MacReady, played by Kurt Russell, and Dr. Copper, played by Richard Dicer, leave to investigate the Norwegian base. Among the charred ruins and frozen corpses, they find the burnt corpse of a malformed humanoid, which they transfer to the American station. Their biologist, Blair, played by A. Wilford Brimley, autopsies the remains and finds a normal set of human organs. Clark, played by Richard Masur, kennels the sled dog, and it soon metamorphoses and absorbs several of the station dogs. This disturbance alerts the team, and the chief mechanic Childs, played by Keith David, uses a flamethrower to incinerate the creature. Blair autopsies the dog thing and surmises it is an organism that can perfectly imitate other life forms. Data recovered from the Norwegian base leads the Americans to a large excavation site containing a partially buried alien spacecraft, which the geologist Norris, played by Charles Hallahan, estimates has been buried for over 100,000 years, and a smaller, human-sized dig site. Blair grows paranoid after running a computer simulation that indicates the creature could assimilate all life on Earth in a matter of years. The group implements controls to reduce the risk of assimilation. The remains of the malformed humanoid assimilate and isolated the meteorologist George Bennings, played by Peter Maloney, but the radio operator Windows, played by Thomas Waits, interrupts the process, and MacReady burns the Bennings thing. The team also imprisons Blair in a tool shed after he sabotages all the vehicles, kills the remaining sled dogs, and destroys the radio to prevent escape. Copper suggests testing for infection by comparing the crew's blood against uncontaminated blood held in storage, but after learning the blood stores have been destroyed, the men lose faith in Gary's leadership, and MacReady takes command. MacReady, Windows, and the station's cook Knowles, played by T.K. Carter, find the assistant biologist Fuchs's, played by Joel Polis, burnt corpse and surmise he committed suicide to avoid assimilation. Windows returns to base while MacReady and Knowles investigate MacReady's shack. During their return, Knowles abandons MacReady in a snowstorm, believing he has been assimilated after finding his torn clothes in the shack. The team debates whether to allow MacReady inside, but he breaks in and holds the group at bay with dynamite. During the encounter, Norris appears to suffer a heart attack. As Copper attempts to defibrillate Norris, his chest transforms into a large mouth and bites off Copper's arms, killing him. MacReady incinerates the Norris thing, but its head detaches and attempts to escape before also being burnt. MacReady hypothesizes that the Norris thing demonstrated that every part of the thing is an individual life form with its own survival instinct. He proposes testing blood samples from each survivor with a heated piece of wire and has each man restrained, but is forced to kill Clark after he lunges at MacReady with a scalpel. Everyone passes the test except the assistant mechanic Palmer, played by David Clennon, whose blood recoils from the heat. Exposed, the Palmer thing transforms, breaks free of its bonds, and infects Windows, forcing MacReady to incinerate them both. Childs is left on guard while the others go to test Blair, but they find that he has escaped and has been using vehicle components to assemble a small flying saucer, which they destroy. Upon their return, Childs is missing, and the power generator is destroyed, leaving the men without heat. MacReady speculates that, with no escape left, the Thing intends to return to hibernation until a rescue team arrives. MacReady, Gary, and Knowles agree that the Thing cannot be allowed to escape and set explosives to destroy the station, but the Blair Thing kills Gary, and Knowles disappears. The Blair Thing transforms into an enormous creature and breaks the detonator, but MacReady triggers the explosives with a stick of dynamite, destroying the station. While MacReady sits by the burning remnants, Childs returns, claiming he got lost in the storm while pursuing Blair. Exhausted and slowly freezing to death, they acknowledge the futility of their distrust and share a bottle of Scotch whiskey. About the film, The Thing, 1982, is directed by John Carpenter and produced by David Foster and Lawrence Terman. The screenplay for the film was written by Bill Lancaster, based on the novella Who Goes There by John W. Campbell, Jr. The cast of film includes Kurt Russell, Wilford Brimley, Keith David, Donald Moffat, Richard Dysart, and Richard Masur. The Thing, 1982, was primarily filmed on location in British Columbia, Canada, with some scenes shot in Alaska. The remote, snowy landscapes added to the isolation and atmosphere of the film. The haunting and atmospheric musical score for the movie was composed by Ennio Morricone, known for his iconic work in film. The soundtrack features eerie and suspenseful themes that enhance the tension and horror. The Thing was released on June 25, 1982. The production budget for the film was approximately $15 million, and it grossed around $19.6 million at the box office, making it a modest success financially. Critical reception for The Thing was mixed upon release, but has since garnered a cult following and critical reevaluation. The film's practical effects and intense atmosphere have been praised. The legacy of The Thing includes its status as a classic sci-fi horror film. The Thing has inspired various sequels and adaptations, including a prequel also titled The Thing, released in 2011. Additionally, it has influenced other works in the horror genre and remains a staple of John Carpenter's filmography. 10 interesting facts about The Thing, 1982 movie. 1. The film is renowned for its groundbreaking practical effects by Rob Bottin, creating grotesque and terrifying alien transformations. 2. Kurt Russell took a drag on a cigarette at the beginning of certain shots in order to make the breath appear more visible. 3. To give the illusion of icy Antarctic conditions, interior sets on the Los Angeles sound stages were refrigerated down to 4.5 degrees Celsius, while it was well over 38 degrees Celsius outside. 4. It took about a year for Kurt Russell to grow the famous MacReady beard and hairstyle. 5. One day after shooting a scene with the flamethrower, Kurt Russell pulled a practical joke on John Carpenter by covering his face and head with bandages and claiming he had gotten burned. 6. In 1981, before its release, Fangoria magazine had a contest. People were asked to draw The Thing to see if anyone could guess what it was going to look like. The winner won a trip to Universal Studios. 7. The film was originally banned when released in Finland. 8. The film was shown on Turkish national television in the summer of 1987 with over 20 minutes cut, and therefore it was rather incoherent. Characters would disappear, with the viewer having no clue as to what happened to them. Therefore, soon after, a newspaper TV reviewer famously called The Thing the worst horror movie he'd seen. 9. Two characters in the movie are nicknamed Mac and Windows. Since the film was made in 1982, this is purely coincidental and has nothing to do with Apple's and Microsoft's famous rival tech brands. 10. John Carpenter was initially unsure about making the film, believing that he wouldn't be able to do justice to the 1951 original The Thing from Another World, 1951 movie.